The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista. Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher, and we're waking up. We're a beautiful sunrise out there, but earlier we had some flashes of lightning around the area.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of a busy forecast because we're dealing with a lot. Kevin joining us now to look at what we can expect for today.
Yeah, we talked about it late last week that the monsoonal moisture would creep near Kern County once again, and we saw it yesterday and we saw it overnight and early this morning, but things have quieted down quite a bit. Let's show you that satellite and radar right now, and there's nothing really to show you. Skies have actually started to clear out, but right around 4:30 this morning, we did see a few isolated thunderstorms near the Tehachapi area. Downtown Bakersfield, a few clouds, high clouds in the distance, but that's it. We've got a temperature at 81, a light wind out of the north at 7. Now, the one thing to note here is our humidity value is still up a little bit, 22%. I was out and about yesterday, and boy, was it hot and humid. We hit 101. Here's a look at the temperatures for today. Lower 90s by 10 a.m. By 2 o'clock, we're at 102 and 104 right around 4 o'clock. And then for the Tehachapi area, you can see the skies have cleared out nicely from what we were seeing early on this morning. And we've got a temperature comfortable at 64 and humidity at 64%. As we take a look at the hour by hour here, 84 degrees by 10 a.m. And then we'll be looking at some lower 90s this afternoon. We'll talk more weather in a bit, but first, let's send it back over to you.
All right, thanks, Kev. We begin this morning with your 17 homicide tracker. A 10-year-old child is dead and 2 others are in the hospital, including a 12-year-old. Following the shooting in Arvin. The shooters, believed to be under 18, are still on the run. It happened in the area of North Hill Street between Stewart and Wilson Streets just before midnight Saturday. Police say they found a 29-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old who were all shot. The 10-year-old died at the scene, and the 2 others were taken to Kern Medical for treatment. Police say a witness followed the car suspected in the shooting toward Bautista Street. When the car became disabled, police say the suspects fired at the witness. 2 boys were reportedly seen leaving the car, and they're still on the run as of news time this morning. If you know anything about this shooting, you're urged to call Arvin Police at 854-5583, or you can call the Kern Secret Witness Line at 322-4040.
Gun violence is part of a disturbing national trend. Major League players and fans were back at Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. yesterday after a shooting near the stadium Saturday caused mass panic among the crowd. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell reports.
Fans returned, a game resumed, but anxiety lingered in the aftermath of gun violence.
It's a different feel at the ballpark today.
Fear took the field Saturday night at Nationals Park in Washington when gunfire could be heard.
Please remain calm.
Confusion set in. And a race to find safety. Players and fans scrambled.
This is a very bizarre scene at Nationals Park. We have no idea.
Where the panic began was in right field. A whole bunch of fans in the concourse began running from center field to right field in the concourse.
Nobody knew what it was, and then a whole storm of people started running.
The gunfire actually happened outside the ballpark. Officials say shots were exchanged between 2 cars. 3 people were wounded, including a woman passerby, grazed in the chaos. This incident is part of a national spike in gun violence. Friday, also in Washington, a drive-by shooting left this 6-year-old girl, Naya Courtney, dead. Her mother and 4 other adults wounded.
Naya was starting the 1st grade this fall. And now, that won't happen.
Cities report more gun violence. New York, gun incidents up 29% over last year. Atlanta, homicides up more than 27%. Philadelphia, up 31%, with 299 murders as of this weekend. President Biden says the federal government can do more to crack down on licensed gun dealers who sell illegal weapons.
We'll make sure you can't sell death and mayhem on our streets. It's an outrage. It has to end.
That was NBC's Kelly O'Donnell reporting. 6:05 now. I'm back here at home. A man's dead after a fire erupted in South Bakersfield Saturday.
There's going to be a fully involved trailer on fire threatening a garage attached to a single-story, single-family dwelling.
A trailer fire started around 4:30 Saturday morning at the intersection of Rexland Drive and Karen Place. A Bakersfield man was inside at the time and he did not make it out. This is the 6th fire fatality in Kern County this year. The last one happened back in May on 32nd Street in Bakersfield. 2 people died in that fire. We reached out to neighbors and the homeowner and family of the man who died, but they all declined to comment.
This comes as the Bakersfield Fire Department reports a surge in building fires here in town. First responders were called to Conwood Road near East Consoloma Drive for a report of a house fire last Thursday at about 8:30. This is just one of a string of devastating building fires recently, as Maria's Home Furnishings burned on Chester Avenue in downtown Bakersfield earlier this month.
As far as the uptick on them, we can say yes, there is. As far as the causes and really nailing it down, we still have to analyze that data. Factors are the amount of abandoned structures, and we're going to start tracking transient fires. Could be any number of things.
First responders say there have been at least 315 structure fires in Bakersfield so far this year. By this time last year, there were just 214.
Now to one of our signature issues here at KGET, pedestrian safety. One person was killed in a possible hit-and-run crash in Rosamond. First responders were called to the area of 20th Street West and Matthew Avenue just after 9 Saturday night. CHP says it's unclear what led up to the crash and no suspect information is available as of news time this morning. The investigation's ongoing.
Looking ahead to this week, the Bakersfield Police Department is hosting a community workshop. The department is partnering with the Bakersfield Community Policing Organization to bring community members together for conversation with Metro Zone officers. That meeting is Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Compassion Christian Center on 4th Street. The Metro Zone covers central Bakersfield and part of East Bakersfield. And sheriff's officials say they want the community to get involved in shaping our local laws and policies to create positive change. The Kern County Sheriff's Office's Community-Wide Advisory Council continues its series of Zoom meetings today, speaking directly with community members about their concerns. If you want to participate, just send an email to kernsheriffcac@gmail.com for a link to the Zoom meeting.
Kern County officials are asking the public to chime in on the redistricting process as they redraw district lines to reflect new census data. The county's holding a series of redistricting workshops through the next few weeks. Officials encourage the community to get involved with the process and help ensure local voting districts best reflect our population's demographics. To learn more, go to kerncounty.com. The first meeting is set for today at 6 p.m.
From our 17 roadwork file, a portion of Highway 178 will be closed beginning tonight for road striping. Caltrans says the highway will be closed between the mouth of the canyon in Bakersfield and Highway 155. It is happening tonight through Thursday during the overnight hours. Periodic one-way traffic controls will also take place between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. Our U.S. tennis star Coco Gauff will not be competing in the Summer Games this year after testing positive for COVID-19. Gauff announced the news on social media, saying she was disappointed because it was a dream of hers to represent the USA team at the Olympics. The 17-year-old star was supposed to join the U.S. team next week as tennis is set to begin on Friday following the opening ceremonies. And new this morning, a member of the U.S. women's gymnastics team has tested positive for COVID-19. One member of the team was confirmed to be positive for COVID-19 today. Officials have not identified the gymnast, but NBC News has confirmed the Olympian was an alternate. The team, which arrived in Japan on Thursday, have only stayed at their accommodations and practice venues and have not spent time exploring Tokyo. Another team member, who was identified as a close contact of the gymnast, has been placed on standby.
The hometown of the newest Scripps Spelling Bee winner held a parade in her honor. Zayla Avant-Garde is the first African-American to win the national competition. Her hometown of Harvey, Louisiana held a drive-by parade to celebrate. The 14-year-old spelled the winning word Mariah, a genus of tropical trees. Zayla won the National Kaplan Online Spelling Bee last year. That netted her a $10,000 prize. She's also the Guinness World Record holder for her basketball dribbling skills.
So impressive.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So impressive.
Texas Democrats who fled to Washington to avoid passing new voting restrictions are kicking off a voting rights conference in the nation's capital today. Joining them, civil rights activist Dolores Huerta. Tracy Potts has more on how they hope to move forward on the issue.
Hey, Maddie. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. A couple of things happening on voting rights today. A Senate hearing in Georgia, the kickoff of the Texas Republicans event here in the nation's capital, all designed to bring attention to how hard it is for some people to vote. Labor leader Dolores Huerta kicks off Texas Democrats' voting rights conference today.
We're fugitives for justice.
They fled to Washington to block new restrictions in Texas and to urge lawmakers to pass federal legislation making it easier for all Americans to vote. The conference is largely virtual after 5 Texas lawmakers tested positive for COVID-19.
Many of my colleagues left behind children, sick loved ones, elderly parents. They left behind their day jobs, and they took health risks.
Today's conference comes after a similar roundtable in Georgia last weekend, highlighting voters who stood in line for hours to cast a ballot.
An hour and a half, I might have made him an hour and a half in. I had probably moved about 10 paces forward.
It becomes really inconvenient because you have to worry about things like childcare.
All of this is designed to sow chaos and confusion and make it harder for people to vote.
These laws are targeted, and they specifically have the intent to undermine participation by communities of color, by the marginalized and the disadvantaged, and that is wrong.
This week's focus comes just after the 1-year anniversary of the death of Congressman John Lewis. The voting rights bill that carries his name is stuck in Congress.
He wants us to carry on. It is a battle that is a lifetime of struggle.
A battle with renewed energy this week.
It's important for me because I've learned.
But will any of this make a difference? 2 voting rights bills have been stuck on Capitol Hill in part because of the filibuster, the minority's right to block legislation. And now, even some Democrats are concerned about taking that right away. I'm Tracy Potts, 17 News.
17 News is your local election headquarters, and we now know who plans to challenge Governor Gavin Newsom in September's recall election. California election officials have released a list of 41 candidates who have qualified to run in the September 14th election. Included are 21 Republicans, 8 Democrats, 1 Libertarian, 2 Green Party members, and 9 independents. The push to oust Newsom largely stems from frustration with long-running school and business closures during the pandemic. Recall candidate Kevin Paffrath was in Bakersfield yesterday afternoon for a campaign event at the downtown Marriott, pitching his plan for what he says are practical bipartisan solutions to our state's problems.
And that's the problem we have in California is we have a governor who doesn't lead with common sense solutions. We have a governor who leads with solutions that benefit himself and his administration.
Paffrath focused on several issues at the event, including wasted government spending, criticizing the high-speed rail project, along with the ongoing housing and homelessness crisis.
From our 17 News follow-up file, yesterday marked 1 year since a 14-year-old girl died in the Kern River. Precious Porter fell into the river and was pulled out the same day but could not be revived. Since 1968, the Kern County Sheriff's Office says 315 people have died in the river. 8 of those deaths were last year. Search and Rescue urges everyone to be safe if they plan to be around the river and to make sure everyone has a life jacket on at all times. Search and Rescue says if you do fall in, don't fight the current. They say just try to make your way to the side of the river and then work your way over.
The Sheriff's Office needs your help finding a missing 14-year-old out of East Bakersfield, missing for nearly 3 weeks now. This is a picture of Christopher Peterson. His father says on June 28th, Christopher went to the country store and never returned. Tomorrow marks 3 weeks since he was reported missing. Deputies say he frequents Pioneer Park and knows people in the Wasco area. If you've seen him, call KCSO at 861-3110. Meantime, Bakersfield police need your help finding a missing 14-year-old girl. This is Beverly Spencer. Police say she was last seen just before 8:30 Friday night. The department said Spencer is considered at risk because she had talked about hurting herself. If you've seen her or have any information about the case, call police.
This morning, there's more room for Bakersfield's homeless population here in town. Both the Bakersfield Homeless Shelter and the Brundage Lane Navigation Center say they've acquired more space. The Navigation Center averages 122 to 130 filled beds per night. The center lifted its pandemic restrictions on capacity, adding 20 more beds. The center allows pets and is the only homeless shelter in Bakersfield that allows for residents who are couples to stay together regardless of sexual orientation.
We are not here to just provide respite from the streets. We are here to provide permanent housing for every guest who enters our program. In providing services for those traditionally unmet needs, we're able to serve far more people than most other shelters are.
This comes 2 weeks after the Bakersfield Homeless Center converted some of its office space into living space, making room for up to 30 single women to find refuge.
Habitat for Humanity teamed up with the local Boy Scouts this weekend to refurbish a children's playhouse at a local hospital. The playhouse was built 10 years ago at the Bakersfield Ronald McDonald House, which helps families who have children staying in the hospital. In honor of the 10-year anniversary, the Habitat for Humanity and Boy Scouts, with funding from the Bakersfield East Rotary Club, gave it a fresh coat of new paint and a new image. For more than a dozen volunteers were there to lend a helping hand for this project.
To be able to come outside and, have a tea party or ride the tricycles or get some of the other toys out of the playhouse and just kind of have a fun afternoon. It's just one of those additional things that provides a little bit of comfort and care to those families while they're going through a trying time with their child's hospitalization.
Scarlett Sabin says the event was made possible by several organizations working together to make an impact on our community.
Stay Focused Ministries is partnering with New Life Church for a 3-day camp this week. The camp's open to students from 2nd to 5th grade across Kern County. It's happening Wednesday through Friday at New Life Church on Stein Road. The students will have the opportunity to win prizes and cool off with water balloons and water slides. Parents can contact the Stay Focused Ministries office at 322-4673 to register. The first 150 students to register will get a free t-shirt. The MLK Community Initiative is holding another food giveaway today from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the church's headquarters, which is at 1627 Virginia Avenue. The group says they're providing 3 weeks worth of groceries. All you have to do is pull up to the distribution site and a volunteer will load your car. Social distancing guidelines will be followed and you are required to wear a mask. All right, and that is all for us this morning. Thanks for starting your morning with Sunrise. Mornings and weather in 30 minutes.
Make it a great Monday, everyone.